On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
It just seems like everywhere you are, there's people, or you're galvanizing the team, or you're bringing in an audience to a degree. Is that a skill set of yours? Have you learned this over time? Are people just drawn to Big Daddy? What is this? What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today I'm coming to you with a new kind of guest. He's a king, but this guy's a big daddy. Rich Big Daddy Salgado, my brother. How we doing?
Well, what's happening?
What's happening? I just have enjoyed our interaction off camera, off air up until this moment. Obviously was able to interview a colleague of yours a few months ago, but man, today is your show and I'm excited to get to know you better. So tell us, you got a couple businesses. You've got a little bit of an eclectic background in comparison to a lot of my guests. Tell us a little about what you're into right now, and we'll go into your background here in a second.
Well, it's well documented that I'm in the insurance business.
Yeah.
That's my main business. And, the sexy part of the business, as I always say jokingly, is, the professional athletes entertainment sector of my business, which, again, like I said, it's been well documented. It's some of the biggest names in sports and TV and entertainment.
Yeah.
So, that's A. And if we get to the rest of the alphabet, I can go pretty deep, but we won't go A to Z. But,
Okay.
I have that. I have Gas It Up, which is a mobile fueling, Charge It Up, which is our sister company, for electrical vehicle charging and whatnot. So between those two things, and I figured, why not add something else?
Right.
Now I have a company, it's called Wealthway, and it's a real estate fund, and it buys and, it doesn't really sell properties, but we look to, buy commercial real estate. And we're also in the process of looking into building affordable housing and modular homes.
Sure.
Between those three things,
Yeah.
I'm going 24/7.
Yeah, you're a busy man. For the listener's sake, I mean, he was totally humble in that little ABC there, but you're known as the NFL insurance guy. Like you said, well documented. You're all over Fox News. You've got all these connections in athletics and entertainment, and people know Big Daddy. So I'm excited to now be part of that little pod. Well, a big pod of people that know Big Daddy. So we appreciate you being here. I want to know, before we get into a little bit of your story, your journey, I want to know the burning desire. I mean, you've accomplished so much in your career and in your life. What's the burning desire in you now?
You know what? I just don't know how to do anything else, to be totally honest. It's funny. A friend of mine this morning says to me, man, he goes, I don't know how you do it, and I'll tell you, I'll give you the last couple of days, my schedule's been pretty intense, where I was in Jacksonville, Florida last Thursday through Sunday playing at the ROM Celebrity Golf Outing, which you see my St. Jude pin. We support St. Jude. And then, I get back Sunday night, and then, Monday, dig right into it. I got emails, phone calls to follow up on. And then I had the great honor of, on Wednesday night, speaking in New Jersey to the Bergen County Republican Women's Party. I was the keynote speaker, which is something that I've never done before. I've never been a keynote speaker. So it's funny. I was like, man, okay, here we go. So I'm used to being on TV. I'm used to speaking in public forum. I've spoken at Wharton Business School twice. So I could do that. But this is a whole different, another monster. Not only not only am I going into the right wing, but it's all women. So now I'm saying to myself, okay, how do I attack this? Well, I get two friends to help me, and we go over this whole thing. But then I got smart. I'm like, why don't I just ask the best person in the world that I could think of that could help me? So Sean Hannity, come to Big Daddy's rescue.
Yeah.
Sean gave me some tips and whatnot. And then as I call her, my teammate and business partner, her name is Angelika Steen Olsen. As we were going over, we were going over my speech and everything as we were getting driven over. Well, okay, here's speech A. Well, when we get there, all of a sudden I had to turn the speech around because it was, I guess, more geared towards me than it was really the group.
Okay.
So now, okay, let's change the script.
Yeah.
Then I made some changes, but I just went with my inner feeling and passion, and I was compassionate about it, and I ended up knocking them dead. So it was kind of, I adjusted on the fly.
Yeah.
So it was something that I guess you're used to. Most people aren't, but I can definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, inside of that, what I'm hearing is that you've just been in a public eye or under pressure, really, is probably what most people might say, for so long, and you've repeatedly put yourself in those situations where it's almost like normal, right? Like if you don't have that, or if you quit doing that, it would be different. It would be odd, right? And so I don't see any sitting on the porch watching the sunset for you anytime soon.
You know what's so funny is I love a house with a porch and a rocking chair. And actually, about a month ago, I was able to actually sit on the porch and smoke a cigar with a friend.
There you go.
But, I was like, wow, this is great, and a cigar relaxes me. So here I was, it was at night, right before it's about to get dark. I think I went to bed at like 9 o'clock that night after having this cigar and chatting with a friend of mine, because we were just catching up, and he says to me, man, I drove by your place and I don't see your car at 10:30 at night. And I'm like, that's sometimes the norm. It's the last 2 nights for me have been between the party thing in New Jersey, and then last night I was in Manhattan for Long Island University had a big gala, and they honored some certain people.
Yeah.
And one of them was Mayor Eric Adams. So we went to that, and that was a great affair. And believe it or not, the Plaza, I've only been there twice. And I'm a New Yorker, but I've only been downstairs at the main bar and whatnot to meet people. But, going upstairs, I was like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. It's an old kind of exquisite kind of place, but, but the gala was incredible. So, and I got home last night at 11:30. So, and I get up at 6. So it's not, I get 5.5, 6 hours, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Your schedule sounds a little bit like mine. What I'm picking up so far, tell me if I'm wrong on this, because you're just flowing and I love it, is that everything that you've expressed that you've done, even in the last few days, or really just if I look back at your career, it's always been with people, lots of other people at times. But I mean, even us prepping for the show, we were talking about commercial real estate, and you piped over to one of your team members there, your producer, and you're like, asking for some clarification, and he popped in on the screen. It just seems like everywhere you are, there's people, or you're galvanizing the team, or you're bringing in an audience to a degree. Is that a skill set of yours? Have you learned this over time? Are people just drawn to Big Daddy? What is this?
You know what you see is what you get with me, and look, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I tell people all the time, I said, I surround myself with people. And look, we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes in the past where you bring people in, it's not a fit, and then you have to move on. And my one brother, I have 2 brothers, Louis and Jimmy, and my one brother, Louis, used to tell people that you can't be my brother. Like you can't be him. It's not like, and I wish I could clone myself where I can have people have all the access and all the relationships.
Yeah.
Be able to send people here, there, or there. That's probably a skill set that is only made for me, because when you develop relationships, you can't, let's say, how do you say this? If I'm supposed to meet with you, I can't send my number 2 person to meet with you. You want to meet me. If I can't meet you, then what's the sense of having them meeting? And that's what I tell people all the time. When you're developing a network and you're developing relationships, I think one of the most important things is always remember people. Okay. Second, remember where they started, because they're not going to finish there. Okay. And third, let people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's a wow, that's a big guy. Okay, so like when I walk into a lot of rooms, and I say this jokingly, wow, that guy's either security or what, like what is he, And then
there's a presence.
Yeah, and then I tell people, I'm like, hey, my real name is Rich Salgado, but if you ask 100 people in this room that know me, I'd say half the room doesn't know my real name. But if you say Big Daddy, oh, a whole
that
bunch
guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I always feel that it's important to let people know what your purpose is, who you are, and what you do. That's a skill set that if I could share it and clone it and put it inside someone, I would do it, because there's only one of me to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only the building of the network and being intentional, you talked about, taking advantage of those moments as the fill in the blank CEO, builder of your business, your family, even. Like, we can use this in context of all different kinds. But even with this show, we interview a lot of people. It would have been really easy for me to have a co-host or another person to do some other recordings. We've recorded 320 or so in the last 15 months. It's a lot,
That's
a lot.
Wow.
But I've taken the same approach that you just did and said, you know what? I'm building my network. How am I going to build my network? Chaz Wolfe, of course, Gathering the Kings as well. But personally, I need to be the one touching the relationship in order for it to go anywhere. And if this is the beginning of the interaction of Chaz Wolfe and Big Daddy, then cool. If it goes somewhere, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too. But I can't, like you said, give that to my number two and then hope to have something come out of that for the purposes of you and me, because there was never a you and me if I wasn't here.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got involved in the podcast game. And, at first it was, hey, would you book us talent? And I said to them, no, I will not, because I can't give out clients and celebrity friends of mine's phone numbers out.
Right.
They're going to do it. And then I said jokingly, I said, well, why don't you make me the host of the show and then we'll get this done. And I'm thinking, all right, I'll be left alone and they're not going to use me. And all of a sudden, 3 days later, hey, Big Daddy, you got it. And I'm like,
so now what you asked for.
Yeah. I'm like, oh man. So now I got to find time to do this. And I ended up doing about 60 episodes. And then I had to take a break because I was just overwhelmed with not only am I booking the show, but I'm doing the show. Right. All the editing that was being done for me, and that was great. But, I took a step back. I'm going to get back into it because I if you go to Big Daddy and Friends, it's on YouTube. Yeah. You'll see some of those interviews. I've got Joe Buck. I got Andy Reid. I've got some big names on there. Yeah. And they're all friends of mine. Those are people that I asked to come on. And, and that's where the relationship starts. And that's how I'm able to do it because they know, one, they could trust me. Yeah. Two, I'm not trying to be Adam Schefter or Jay Glazer or Kevin Weeks or Billy Jaffe. Those are professional people. That's their job. Yeah. I don't want to know stats. I don't want to know, it's a friendly chat. Big Daddy and Friends. I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan, although, listen, Joe Rogan has been very successful and made a ton of money.
That's right.
But, they also call people out and they want to try to get answers out of people where I'd be putting relationships in stake.
Yeah.
Speak.
You got a different approach.
Yeah. So I use a different approach and it's been fun.
Yeah, speaking as a Kansas Cityan and Super Bowl champion of this town, you say a name like Andy Reid and people in this neck of the woods freak out a little bit. And so we might have to do something cool there. But I love,
not to cut you off, Steve Spagnuolo is a very dear friend of mine. I have a lot of ties to the Chiefs. That's awesome. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Ted Cruz, the head PR guy for them, who you always see him behind Mahomes or Andy. Sharp looking, very sharp dressed guy. And I would tell him, I said, you're one of the sharpest dressed cats in the league.
Yeah.
We get a big joke out of it. So again, and I went to the Super Bowl this year, and obviously then I went to the Chiefs victory party after the game. So that was, a lot of fun. So
I think we talked a couple of days either before or after that originally when we first connected, and you were telling me a little bit about it. But Yeah, I mean, I think what we're discussing and the value for the listener is you've built a network by providing value, saying yes to things like a podcast. That wasn't just like a little podcast. That was attached to some big names, a pretty big network, a lot of things that were like really influential. You really downplayed that, but that's okay. I appreciate your humility. What I'm learning, even in my own like journey of business, but what I'm really hearing from you that I really want to transfer to the listener is that you've just kind of like done the work and said yes to building relationships, which I think is overly stated and underly performed, if that even makes sense. So I guess my question for you as we kind of move on here, as the listeners hearing build relationships, the beginning of, whether it's a podcast or whether it's, me serving a client or going to a gala and introducing myself to some new people, like it's constantly putting myself out there. Is there anything else practical that the listener can do, small or big, as a business owner or a family person? How can they take this advice that you're giving to them, that their network is basically everything?
I always preach, let people know who you are and what you do. Okay. When I started this business, the insurance business over 30 years ago, insurance is not a popular subject. Okay. Especially with a 21, 22-year-old kid that thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread.
That's right.
And, anyone can be hurt, anyone can die, anyone can have an issue.
That's right.
So my biggest goal in the beginning when I started was to be in front of as many people as I could, but I spent a lot of time traveling. I was going to Super Bowls, I was going to Pro Bowls, Senior Bowls in Alabama, All-Star games, and I was also going to college. So I'll give you an idea of what my schedule was in the beginning.
Yeah.
I would go Tuesday nights or Monday night football games. Tuesday nights, I'd go to hockey games. Wednesday nights, if there was a hockey game or whatever, I'd take a break. Thursday nights, there was always a hockey game. Fridays, I would travel to the college game I was going to, and then go to games on Saturday, travel back, and be at an NFL game on Sunday. So I really invested the time to be in front of people.
Yeah.
I had to let people know who I was and what I was doing and what my purpose was. So that's why when everybody says, oh, he's an NFL insurance guy. I spent a lot of time being at stadiums, arenas, practice facilities, practice rinks. I was everywhere. And then, okay, so how do I get the message out now? Now I got to attack the media side. So then I started seeing, I was dealing with all these media people that were interviewing people. And then, oh, who's that? So I'm standing out and people would say, I didn't know you were an insurance guy, well, interview me and I'll share what I do. Right. And that's why, look, Sports Business Journal, The Athletic, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, Newsday, New York Times. I've been featured in all those publications. Google did a big feature on me. They didn't do me a favor by doing it, but because all of a sudden I had about 800 resumes.
Yeah.
People, hey, Big Daddy, look at I want to, and all of a sudden I'm like, my server got shut down from all the emails.
Wow.
Which I had to deal with that. But
the cost of being famous.
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know, I wasn't wishing for this. I just wanted to take every piece of media, whether it was print or TV, and use it to get more business, to get people notice who I am. So now here I am, I take it to the next level, I do TV, and now people are looking at me, my website's up, all that. Hey, I'm Rich Big Daddy Salgado. They see all the people that I deal with. So now I get phone calls from mothers of kids that are in college because they're, hey, I didn't know, can you help my son? Can you do this? Can you speak? Then I started speaking at schools. So I've spoken to Georgia Tech, Temple, and the list goes on and on. So I'm always trying to be out in front. So that's what whether you want it, listen, I've helped clients promote their businesses. Yeah. My pizza shop, it's well known. If you Google it, it's called Umberto's. Between 2 Super Bowls, and Michael Strahan helping, we've gotten them, I think it was close to, I don't even know what the number was, in millions of advertisement for free.
Oh, yeah.
And you know why? Because it was just, I was able to do it. And I understand the magnitude of how to brand and also rebrand. And I went through a period where I was at such a high level of branding, I fizzled out. I mentioned Angelica before. She came in, she rebranded me, and now we're taking this again to another level. So, that's the bit of advice that I would tell anybody, whether you have money or not. You don't need to have money. Social media is free.
That's right.
So take advantage of social media and get out there and tell people who you are and what you do and what your benefit is, how you can help them, whether it's save money, save time, save effort, but be enthusiastic about it. You just can't there and be, oh, I'm a florist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like again, florists, but you have to be motivated, be driven, and there should be a goal. You got to reach that goal.
Yeah, I love and align with everything you're saying. The action that it takes is just always so much more than we realize. I love how you're pointing us in the right direction of attention, right? Whether it's social media for free or making a connection, either being a guest on a podcast or starting your own podcast or doing a local TV thing or trying to get national recognition. There's just so many ways out there. I had a guest on my show, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He's a pest control company. And they used a local story that had to do with animals, and it got on the local news, and then it kind of like got viral. And he was just telling me about how he just never would have dreamed how this little bitty thing that they decided to do to help animals would have gone so crazy viral. But news station got a hold of it. It was absolutely all this free advertising and promotion. And he was already a big company, but it blew up, kind of broke down their server as well, per se, but that's what happens is like, we expand and then we break and we kind of have to rebuild and put it back together, maybe even a rebrand. And then we go back out and try to do it again. And that takes energy and probably a lot more attention towards attention. Hopefully that makes sense for the listener, but that's everything I'm picking up so far from you is not only do the work of putting yourself out there, being clear about your message, who you are, what you stand for, what your purpose is, but also I heard confidence and not being like ashamed, like get on a podcast and talk about it because it's valuable. We talked about that. I mean, I do this with every single guest of mine, but I'm like, hey, you got full permission here because I want my audience to know you. I want them to know what you do, how you do it, why you do it, because there's somebody out there that needs what you have, or maybe just you individually. I don't know. And that's my responsibility now as the host to connect you and whoever the proverbial they is that's listening. You know what I mean?
No, I get you 100%. I mean, look, the big joke is, hey, am I big enough to be your client? And I'm like, why? Are you supposed to be taller or heavier than me? I mean, no, it's, I'm here to help every person that needs help. We insure people from all sizes, and I say that jokingly, from my mailman's a client all the way up to, we have a client, several clients that are billionaires, and just because they're a billionaire, it doesn't mean they know everything. They're successful, they surround themselves with the right people. And that's what I try to do. I took on a partner about 7-8 years ago. His name is Chris Muro, and we have an office in Boca Raton. And there's a lot of things that I do well that he may not, and vice versa. I'm not an office guy. I'm not a paper guy. And it's well documented. I get reminded almost every day. But, look, I'm the person that wants to go and get the business, get the relationship going, educate along with my partner. And we work with everyone. That's the one thing that I try to tell everybody. Do not look at me as only a person that works with celebrities or professional athletes. That is not the case and never will be the case because everyone needs help when it comes to insurance. Everyone needs it. It's important that you have the right person selling it to you and making sure that we sell it not for our sake, but for your sake.
Yeah,
That's the
true.
difference between us and other people around us that are in the business. Because in the insurance business, there's a million agents out there all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't make them better than anyone else. What do you say? Insurance people get paid by the amount of insurance that they sell. We get that. And obviously, look, we're not a charity, so we like to make money.
Yeah.
But it has to be done in the right and correct fashion so that the person buying it feels comfortable that they were not sold a bag of goods, and also that they're comfortable that they want to refer us to other people to help them.
That's right.
Because again, that's how you build the network, and that's how you build clientele, and that's how you build good, sound business.
Hey, kings and queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other. Let's help each other grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And really what you're teaching is good principles for, like you said, business, but even inside of the business, just a sales process, sales mindset. Any good or service that's being sold for the sake of the salesperson, as opposed to the person being sold to, is erroneous, right? But it happens so many times, and that's what we get the kind of like the icky feeling. And so I'm taking away two things. Not only put yourself out there and then also make it known who you are, what you do, why you do it. But if you are genuine about it, then what really should happen is it shouldn't come across as salesy or promotional or whatever. It should come across as real, genuine relationship and help. And then through that, you build a network, you build a business, you build referrals, you build a lifetime of success. Like, did we just kind of like bottle this up and we can go sell it now?
Yeah, I wish, right? We'd make a lot of money.
That's right. That's right. All right, Big Daddy, I got to know of a practical, you've got a long history, different industries you've been a part of. What's a good decision that you've made in the business world, if possible, or maybe outside that would be practical for business, that you would repeat, or that you would maybe advise other people to do the same that you did? What was that good decision?
Align yourself with people that think the way you do. And you can't be a one-man shop. And that's the thing that I've done. When I partnered up with my partner in Florida, Chris Muro, I think that was the best decision I ever made. And I wish I would have met him 30 years ago or 20 years ago. But that was one of the best decisions that I ever made, because I joke around. I say he's my dictionary.
Yeah.
My encyclopedia, dictionary, and end all, because I really lean on him a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to, there's different insurance strategies.
Sure.
You have to bring in the right people, because when we do insurance, we're not only doing disability insurance for athletes,
right?
We're also doing life insurance. There's estate planning involved.
That's right.
There's X, Y, and Z. Not to get too technical.
And all those things are applicable for a business owner or anybody looking to build wealth.
Yes, absolutely. Look, I could own a pizza shop, and that doesn't mean I know how to make pizza.
That's
but
right.
I own the real estate. I own the business.
Right.
I want to get the best pizza makers out there, so I have the best product. Yeah. And that's how people have to think whether it's a product or a business, whatever it is that you're dealing or doing. Don't do it by yourself. You gotta learn to delegate, and obviously trust is always the biggest thing. To answer your question, the other thing was coincidence. And what I'm going to mean by that is that the real estate practice, Wealthway, that we were chatting about before we went on air.
Yeah.
The gentleman, Sam Liebman, who runs the company, we met on set of a show. And, I was sitting there, he came over and said hello, and, we started chatting, and all of a sudden we're out having dinner, and now we're business partners.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Gassing Up.
Yeah.
Gassing Up, I get asked to insure one of the first trucks of the company. And this is 6 years ago. Now I'm the chief communications officer of the company.
Right.
And a partner.
Yeah.
So a lot of it involves coincidence. A lot of it involves being at the right place at the right time. And a lot of it is surrounding yourself with successful people.
Yeah.
Success leads to success. It's now all of a sudden your doorbell rings more, your phone rings more.
That's
and
right.
Then you have to be selective. So now I've gotten to that point where I've brought in some people to be my selectors.
Yeah.
Because when you're at, let's say you're behind home, you're at the plate. Not only do you have one guy pitching at you, you've got 10 pitchers up on the mound.
That's right.
And it's obviously impossible to hit every ball.
That's right.
So you have to have the right people around you to help you succeed and move forward.
Yeah.
And that's something that took me a while to really learn, because I was trying to be protective of the brand and relationships and whatnot.
Right.
But you know what? When I introduce people and I say, this is a big thing that I believe in. If I say, Chaz, I want you to call my client, okay? I give you the name, I give you the number, and then I say, Chaz, don't call me to call them. If I give you their number and I give you their cell number,
Yep.
Obviously I trust you.
Gates open.
The person on the phone is going to trust you because
That's right.
they trust me, that I'm not going to put some jerk or idiot on the phone.
That's right.
And that's a key thing when it comes to, relationships, coincidence, and making smart decisions. It's just getting the right people around you to help share your message and do it the right way, so that people are willing to call you back and also refer you out.
Yeah.
And again, whether it's owning a deli, a pizza shop, a widget, whatever the case may be, if you're a good, decent person and you know how to share your message and make sure that it applies to being a good person and doing the right thing, people will call you.
That's right. Yeah. I wish I could bottle all this up, because you're giving it straight from the heart, which I think it just makes it that much more, just piercing. But everything that you have said is, I think that every business owner, first off, identifying the message, being confident with it, putting themselves out there at 100x rate that they think they need to, and then being able to, for lack of better terms, reap the rewards of that, which is the continuation of building the network. It's, you serve few people by doing all that extra work at the front. It really only gets you a little bit of result, but because you did it in a right way, and then you got a couple people on board to help you do it the right way, and then they refer you some people, and it snowballs eventually, which is the utopia of business and relationship and building a network. And what I'm hearing you say is that it's real, is that anybody listening today can begin this process, even if they've never done anything like this, and they can in 12 months, 3 years, 8 years, 20 years, have a network that is leverage. We talk a lot about leveraging, gathering the kings. I had a dinner very similar to what you just talked about just 3 nights ago. Met up with a new client of mine. He had 2 of his partners with him. They're all real estate guys. Had a great steak, and I shook some hands, and I came back home, and my wife asked me how the dinner was. I said, there'll be some deals coming out of that. I don't know what or how, but there'll be deals, because just like you with your partner, it's like you meet randomly, you do some dinner and some steak, and then things happen because you're a good person. I got good intentions. I'm going to add value. I'm going to lead. I'm going to put my message out there. Everything that Big Daddy's teaching us right now are super applicable. So I want to flip the coin. What's a bad decision that you've made? Something that wasn't your best hour, but you've learned a bunch from.
Well, there's a few of those.
I bet.
We may need a second show, but anyway, I think not doing what I just said I did earlier.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
That would be one of my biggest mistakes. That, you know what, I spent so much time getting out there, networking, running around, getting the message out,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a wingman,
Interesting.
and so now here I am going out there doing all that. And then I also have to produce the product.
Right.
So now I'm doing both things.
Yeah.
And I had an office, I had an assistant, but still I was missing the product time, the educating time,
Yeah.
So now bringing on the partner, Chris, is what really was something that I was missing all along. I've worked with other people before, but
Sure.
there was more of a selfish attitude for them. And then what happens is you get people that say, well, how come I'm not getting you? And that was something that I had to learn to do.
Yeah.
While bringing on Chris, like I said, as a partner, that took care of so many issues, so many problems, because I trust him with my life. He's like a
Right.
brother. He's a best friend, and he knows the game and knows how to product place and educate our clients
Yeah.
so that we're successful. I mean, if you think about it, you want to talk about sports. One of our clients is the goalie for the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
Sergei Bobrovsky, playing incredible. During the year, had a rough year, but now he's everyone's angel because he just got them to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow.
So he will be the first one to tell you in regards to Chris. Not only is Chris his insurance agent, but he's also his friend.
Yeah.
That's the difference that we try to make.
Yeah.
With our clients. We want clients to help, we help clients. So if there's anything that we could do to help a client outside of our insurance business, we do it. We go out of our way to make sure. I love to promote people's business. And if I can do that, I'll do it. I mean, right behind me, you have Arizona iced teas. They make drinks, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I drink those all the time, not the iced tea, but I drink the hydration drinks.
Sure.
And, hey, look, why not? They do the right thing by us, do the right thing back. When you give, you get back. Believe me, you just have to do it the right way,
Yeah.
And you want to talk about coincidence. So going back to that speech that I did on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
This lady comes up to me and she says, hey, see, I have a big scar right here.
Yeah.
I survived a brain aneurysm. So the lady says to me, hey, I know what that scar's from. And I'm like looking at her going, really? How? She goes, well, I'm an aneurysm survivor and I have one too. But, I don't have a full flock of blowing hair. So
so you can see yours.
And she has her hair. And we got into a discussion. And it was incredible that, by the end of the discussion, we were exchanging info. And, she's I believe she was a senator.
Okay.
But now you got all these people sitting there. So this is a whole different group of people that I'm not really in that circle.
Right.
But here was my audience. I took the opportunity to introduce myself. They did a great job promoting me and saying who I was and whatnot, but I wasn't there to be a salesperson. I was there to send a message. And that's what I'll repeat it. The message has to be clear so that your audience knows who, what, and where.
Yeah.
Important.
It's good. It's good. We started that conversation off by you saying that, waiting so long to get your partner handicapped you. And it's funny because as a guy who knows a lot of people, you would think from the outside that, having this person would have been maybe a sooner play for you. But I loved the angle that you gave of, I don't know, especially when you work with high profile people, it's like you want to be able to give premium service and you feel like you have to do it all yourself until you find that person who matches you or even exceeds you in that. And then what you said is it gives you confidence that you trust Chris, and we should be able to trust our number two or our partner. It may not even be a number two. It may just be an equal.
Yeah, it's not we are handed, you know what? We're married at the hip.
That's right. That's right. Well, and you have to be able to have the confidence in that person. And maybe that's even maybe a better way to say it, is that it can't necessarily be a number two. It's got to be, man, if I hand off this client, are they going to get the same experience, or maybe even better? Like, they understand that, like, oh, Chaz, like, he's great and there's a lot of insight and he's got a lot of business experience. But once you join Gathering the Kings, then there's a whole team and obviously other business owners behind him. And that way it doesn't have to be just Big Daddy or just Chaz Wolfe. That's the value. Of course, we're trying to be as valuable as we possibly can. But what I'm taking away is, like, man, if I can add value to my clients or the people that are around you or around me through other people that are around me, then I'm like 100xing the value of me.
Well, I'll tell you where I would have had great value for Chris had we known each other. In 2008, obviously, I suffered an aneurysm, and that derailed me for probably a good year and a half. But I still did business from bed, because I was still able to get on the phone.
Sure.
Do what I needed to do as far as paper pushing and, stuff like that.
Make it happen.
And I'll tell you a funny story, being an ex-football player and having the athlete mentality, I'll never forget, I went to a Giants-Steelers game in Pittsburgh. And here I was, I just gotten out of the hospital, and I show up, and here's people looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I said, I had to be here. I've been away too long. And it was only like a month after I gotten out of surgery.
Wow.
So now it's the weather's kind of nice, but I'm wearing a ski hat because this thing looked like Frankenstein's surgery when I got out.
Yeah.
I had 80 staples in my head. They got pulled out, but they were still, took a while.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I said, I've been away too long and I have to be here. And it was probably one of the greatest games I saw. But afterwards, just to get from the stadium to the hotel, which should have taken maybe 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, almost 2 hours, because I was so drained. I didn't have the energy. And I'll never forget, I went to bed at like 8 o'clock that night and passed out.
Yeah.
Next day I flew back, and then I had to pick my spots because I kept saying to myself, if I don't work through this, I'm going to be stuck at home forever.
Yeah.
And I did not want that. So, being in Manhattan, when the weather's nice, you were trying to walk as much as I was trying to walk as much as possible. Yeah. And I'd be walking with some colleagues, and then they would almost be like a block ahead of you because you can't walk at their pace.
Right.
Because I was still working out through all the kinks and everything. The anesthesia took like a month to get out of me because, and the joke was, I'll never forget the anesthesiologist when I was and I knew the guy. He said to me, he goes, well, Big Daddy, we know you're not a 1X or a 2X, so we're going to have to go with the 5X portion of anesthesia. And I'm saying to myself, well, I'm so glad that we're, making this about me and being humorous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you're tied in to this bed while
not
you
going
get
anywhere
under the knife for 6 to 7 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, that was the thing that I said to myself. I said, there's no reason for not to continue doing business because I could do it from the phone. And back then, you didn't have Skype or Zoom or any of that. So people are not going to really recognize, that I've got a hole in my head or my face is swollen or whatever.
Yeah.
Just get the business done and do what you need to do and move forward, So and that was a real learning process for me because I was like disabled sort of.
Yeah.
I had to pick spots.
I mean, you had brain surgery.
Yeah. So and a lot of great things came out of that whole thing. And if I could just steer away from business a little bit.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital after about 2 or 3 months later, and I saw a lot of kids had the same scar as me.
Wow.
And the doctor said to me, he goes, you could help us immensely.
Yeah.
Because of your reach and whatnot. And
there he is promoting his message, asking for it, right?
Yeah. So all of a sudden, here I am running a golf outing. And me and a friend, we decided, okay, we have 4 months to pull this off. Let's do it. Every day, that's all we did. We had a great 3-year run. And then obviously the venue that we were using was going under construction and whatnot. And then COVID came and we gave it a break. So then Angelica came to me and said, hey, why don't we do this again? And, let's rebuild it. And we did. So now we're going into year 3 of this.
Wow.
Now we're supporting St. Jude. So great place. I've been there twice. And I always tell people that it is a place of hope. When you go there and you visit, it's like hope was infused into my system and wanting to help and give back, especially to a place like that where they save children's lives.
Right.
They don't save every life,
Sure.
but they give every child and their families a place of hope. They take care of everything. They don't allow for anything to come out of the person's pocket, the family's pocket. They cover it all. And their mission and goal is to save lives. And I became friends with one of the kids who was down there when I went down there, and he's cancer-free now. He's running, he's doing kids like he's about to graduate high school.
Yeah.
17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
His name's Tyler. So what we're going to do with Tyler for next year's event, we're going to fly him and his family up, and he's going to be our guest of honor.
Yeah.
And, and for all our guests to see what hope does and brings.
Yeah.
Because hope is one of the things that people have to believe in. It's okay to dream.
Yeah.
Dreaming is great because you know what? Sometimes dreams do come true.
Yeah.
Think about it. This young man and his family, the only thing they're dreaming about is they're them being healthy, the son being healthy,
Survival.
and finding a cure for cancer. Well, that's what St. Jude does, and that's what they represent, and that's why we support them. To add to my crazy schedule, this charity for the next 6 weeks will take the life out of me because we've got the biggest names in sports coming. You have to fly them in. You got to drive them in. You've got to have it's like having a wedding auto almost.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like setting up a wedding.
Yeah.
And, it's 2 days and we are supporting St. Jude. And they come and, you're on display and obviously your goals are to have a great event. And obviously the most important thing is to raise a lot of money and also awareness. Because it's important for people to know, again, that's like building your brand, building your business. Make sure that you build awareness so that your audience knows what your mission and goal is. And that's what we do with the golf outing. We have it's 2 parts to this whole day. We have this golf outing and we also have a women's empowerment luncheon on the same day. So we got 2 things going on at once, 2 separate missions, but 1 message.
Yeah. Love
2
that.
separate missions, 1 message. Awareness, raise money, and be who we are. Because it's important. You got to stand for something that's important. And this day for Angelica and I, because we host it, is a very important day because we put blood, soul, guts, and everything else that comes with it.
That's right. That's
it's important. And that's one of the things that now takes up most of my time amongst everything else that's going on.
Yeah, you're obviously an inspiration, and I hope that the listener has just been reignited by your intentionality and your purpose. I want to ask you about the word hope real quick, and then I got one more question for you after that.
Sure.
The word hope is interesting to me, and I've toiled with it over the years. Hope is belief? Is belief hope? That then maybe first question, sub question to that would be, how does one listening to you today walk away with hope? What does that look like? You described hope as Tyler and his family desperately or with a burning desire wanting healing in his body, a medical breakthrough or health. And so I guess my question is, what is that? What is hope? And how does someone walking away from this podcast, they're a business owner, they probably have a family, they're community influencer, maybe they go to church, maybe they have a school that their kids go to that they're impacting, they have a reach, is what we've been talking about. What does hope mean to them, and how do they put it into play?
Well, hope, you know what? Hope is thinking and knowing that you're going to succeed. I think that's how I envision hope. Obviously I've been sick, and it's having the issue that I had with the aneurysm. Look, I'm a big believer in prayer. I pray every night. Two things I do every night: brush my teeth and pray. So before I go to bed. And it is having prayer. Prayer works, and prayer works alongside hope. When you're sick, obviously you have a lot of people that know that you're sick, and everyone prays for you, and everyone has well wishes and whatnot. And I think that plays a big part in hope, because if I'm the person that's sick and I know everyone's praying for me, I feel more positive and confident that I will get better.
Yeah, that's hope.
That's hope.
Yeah. I appreciate that perspective. I got one last question here for you, Big Daddy. Super interested to hear what you have to say.
Sure.
If you had a chance to whisper in the younger Rich's ear, what would you say to him?
Say that again? I didn't.
The younger Rich, the younger you.
Younger Rich? Wow, I have a lot to say. I don't know if that's a long-winded question.
Yeah.
I think my intentions have always been good, and I think obviously, like, when we step back, to make sure that I don't make that the younger Rich doesn't make the mistakes that the older Rich made.
Sure.
That would be really the message that I would say. And take your time and understand to share. I share all my resources. I share every contact, whatever I can, but share knowledge, and also share a little bit of your success, and it's not that I don't. It's the beginning where you're saying, trust, get the right partner, trust somebody, and then trust your instincts. Where sometimes I may have been, the older Rich may have been not gullible, but what's the word I want to use? I kind of let too many people in. Sure. And also, when you listen to too many people, it's like, in sports, you don't want to listen to your locker room lawyer.
That's right.
That's the guy that brings teams down. And what happens is you listen to the wrong person, it's not good for your flow, and it breaks your flow. Yeah. So that's the older Rich would tell the younger Rich to, pay attention to that, because I was letting A, B, C, D, and, everyone's attacking you, and you're like saying, well, they're right. Yeah. They're right. And then how many people could be right? You know what I mean? And it's like, you've got to go with your instinct, but also know what you're doing, realize that. I think that's an important thing that the old Rich would tell the younger Rich.
Yeah. I appreciate the vulnerability there. I think you gave several messages there to the younger Rich, and I think that they were all super applicable. You've been incredible here today. A story after story of just success and just principles, man. You are a man of doing the right thing, and you've been doing the right thing at a high clip for a lot of people for a long time, and I'm honored to know you. How can the listener find you? Number one, if they need insurance, whether they're an athlete or just regular old Joe running a business, and they want to reach out to you for an insurance policy, or they want to connect with you for other reasons, or maybe they want to pick your brain about business or community building, how can they find you?
Well, I'm on social media, so you can find me on Facebook under Richard M. Salgado. I've got several pages there. You can find me on Twitter at Coastal Advisors. I'm also on LinkedIn. And I'm on Instagram under Big Daddy Insurers. So I think I've got everything. We're working on a new website, so that I'm not going to give that out because it's not ready to be launched yet. Yeah. And with all those platforms, you could find me. It's funny. you Google my name and it comes up 100 million ways. And
yeah.
I kind of laugh at that. But, like before we end, my biggest and proudest moment right now is this event, this charity event.
Yeah.
I mean, I use that to give back.
Yeah.
And to share, my relationships, my friendships, my business contacts, all those things come into one big flow because it's important. You reach out to your sponsors, and we've got some incredible sponsors that, we have a Delta Airlines,
Wow.
Arizona Iced Tea, Nike. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it's important that, when you have these great relationships, and it all starts from what we talked about in the beginning.
Yep.
Do the right thing. Do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Be a man or a woman of your word, because then you can go to those people and say, I need your help.
Yeah.
I am trying to save kids' lives. I need your help. And for anyone that wants to be a part of it, come out and play around the golf with your favorite celebrities, or, enjoying all you women out there. Come to the Women's Empowerment Luncheon. So go to www.bigdaddies, with an S, golfclassic.com. Go there. You'll see an incredible, we haven't put the lineup yet because we're trying to keep it a big surprise, because we got some big names coming that we're not announcing yet. But I'll tell you one thing, we have Michael Martucci, who he is a Frank Sinatra singer.
Wow.
And he's playing at our event with a 16-piece band, orchestra, not just a band. So it's not a karaoke thing. This is really the deal.
This is the deal.
And it is at the world famous Ohika Castle, which if you look at that venue, you'll be like, it has to be top notch, because that's the only way I know how to do things and try to be affiliated with top notch people.
That's right.
You're in the process of doing something very big, major, and it's also to save children's lives. So you have to do it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. You are world class. Everything you touch is premium. That's the message I've gotten here for sure. I hope myself, my team, and my listeners walk away from the interactions with Big Daddy Salgado that not only of inspiration that we can do it too, but man, it can be done on a big scale. And so you have been incredible, and I wish you nothing but blessing and success on all your businesses, your audience, all the event, and St. Jude's, and everything that you're going to be touching with your influence. I just think it's incredible to know you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting when you get to New York, and we'll do this again if you want.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.